Hi everybody, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi.
And today we're going to be reviewing the Taverns of Tiefenthal, the Opens Doors expansion.
It's what is called the first expansion on the box, which is a bold move because...
That means there's more to come.
I mean, let's be honest, this is no Quacks at Quedlinburg. That game is just wildly successful, but same designer, Wolfgang Warsch.
It's a puzzle piece, honey. You have to add more puzzle pieces to a puzzle.
There's more puzzle pieces to it, so let's show you what's on the inside here, how the 4 different modules play that you can mix and match with the original, and then we'll give you our thoughts. Here's a quick look at what comes inside the Open Doors expansion. There's 4 different modules. I'll explain each of them one at a time. The first one is this additional board that you'll place on top of your regular tavern. These are the bedrooms that you can send people to. What'll happen is the first time that you draw a noble card each time, you can choose to put a noble into one of these 4 rooms, and then that allows you to activate that with a die later. So if you draft a 4 and you have a noble over here, you can, for example, upgrade one of the guests in your tavern to one that's worth more points. Or if you have a noble over here and then draft a 3, you can add an extra card out to your board somewhere, or for a 2 you can get 1 beer and 1 coin, or for a 5 you can upgrade on the monastery track 1 step. Attached over here on the right side is going to be your wine cellar, which you can use a new type of card called sommeliers, and when you draw those you'll place it to the side here. Now depending if you have 1 or more sommeliers set out, you can take 1 or 2 of these and place them onto the rightmost guest that you draw, the last guest that you place out. You put a wine cube on there and you've satisfied their demands, and therefore you get whatever the reward is, coins or some other effect. The third module is something you'll puzzle piece over here on the left side of your player board, and this is just something that makes you unique, variable player power. So for example, if you're this character, you're going to start with a unique special bar keeper ability, or this one you're going to start with a unique signature book. Or if you're this one, every time that you flip over tiles, you earn some bonus. This one here allows you to get these special IOU tokens. You'll get some of these per round, and then you can use them for whatever special ability they have printed on them, getting extra coins, getting extra dice each round, getting extra beers. Over here, you can place a 3 or a 4 as any die throughout your turn. Over here, you get whenever you use one of these dice here, you'll get an extra step on the monastery track, spend fewer beers to recruit people, or every time you complete one of your guests, you'll get an extra $1. The fourth module here is this objective board here made of these double-sided tiles. Basically what these are 3 different things. If you do this, then you can choose to get this benefit later. So if you acquire a guest that has an immediate bonus, as soon as you do that, you move your little marker over to the other side, and then on any future turn or any time that it's relevant, you can spend this token to do whatever it shows here on the right. So in this case, you can fill up your beer storage immediately. If you complete these, whether you use the ability or not, they're still worth 5 points. If you spend 3 schnapps in the turn, you can use any number of dice as brewers, so on and so forth. There's a lot of these that come in here that all have different fronts, as well as the fact that they're double-sided. So on one side they're an if, on the other side they're the then. Lastly, the game does come with a couple of new special cards, like the Quack Doctors, which allow you to repeat another guest's income for the turn, or this one here, the Mayor. Whenever you place any value die on her, you get that number of coins, and that's what comes inside the box.
All right, Chris, let's talk about the 4 modules that come in this game. There's definitely some that I feel like hit and some miss.
Okay.
Are you feeling similarly different?
I feel like most miss, but let's start.
Most miss, okay.
Yeah, must miss. No, so the first one is the wine, the sommelier thing.
I feel like this one had potential.
Okay.
Potential to hit. So you basically get to activate one of your workers or one of your guests that come to your open doors. Great. So you get to activate one of your guests. The problem for me is that I don't get to pick which guest I activate. It has to be the one that came out on the farthest right, and it's completely arbitrary.
Yeah, that part is weird to me because thematically, you hired a sommelier. This is someone who's...
He's fancy.
They know their stuff. Mwah, chef's kiss. This wine will pair very well with your beggar at the table over there, right?
Who earns me $1 for eating chips. Thank you very much.
I think it's odd that you don't get to choose, or it doesn't just automatically go to the most expensive guest or something like that. Or they have the special guests that give you things like bumps on the reputation track or up the monastery track. I feel like you should be able to choose with the wine.
Yeah, I feel like it should just be activate a table. Boom, done. And I don't think that it would overpower if you activated your best one every time it came out, because you're already going through a huge deck and you don't see those guests very often.
And everybody can go for the sommeliers equally, so I think the wine module it's a great idea, and it is fun, but it's also a miss. But thankfully, it's a very easy module to throw in. You
Sure.
could throw that module in with any of the combinations that you play with.
Sure. Another module that came in was the special player powers, or your unique bartender that you have. And I feel like that one's perfectly fine. I feel like it does what it's supposed to do. It is a player power, but it's not super strong that it changes the entire base of the game. But instead, it points you in a direction. Boom, I'm going to focus on flipping my tiles, or I'm going to focus on serving people at my tables more. I get a little bonus for doing that, and that's it.
I think it's so funny that one of the variable player powers is every round you get different powers. And you can't really
It is pretty ridiculous.
you can't really plan for it, but it's fine because it's just fun. Did you ever sit there and feel jealous of another player's power? Were you ever looking at me and be like, "Oh, I wanted that"?
He's serving so many tables. No, I didn't feel that. I was very happy with what I had.
And so you might consider that good, or you might consider that kind of a miss. Some people really love in variable player power expansion module stuff, that feeling of being like, "This is great, but look at what they have." So this one, it's pretty plain. It's kind of, I don't want to say flat, but it is exciting to activate it, but
Okay,
it's only okay.
I can see flat being a good term for it, but I personally, with player powers, is when they get more exciting and more interesting, I struggle more with, are they balanced in every game that you play?
Sure.
Because there are plenty of games, especially when you have the amount of luck that this game has, there's games where you don't get to do all that you want to do with that player power because the setup just didn't work for you. It didn't work for that power. And so I feel like this, you're going to always serve people. You're going to always be flipping over boards. You're not going to always be tax collecting, but you'll see what happens as it goes and you get more player powers and whatever. I feel like those things happen throughout the game anyway, so your player power is going to happen. You're going to activate it.
Right, yeah, you're never going to be locked out of it.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's okay. The next module is the rooms.
beds.
Yeah, the beds.
This one is a miss for me, big time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have your 3 or 4, I think it's 4 rooms, and you get to put your special fancy aristocratic people up there, but you have to choose where the aristocrat goes before you roll your dice, before you draft anything, and so essentially you're guessing what dice you might get for an action that you may or may not like. And I don't know, it's in the wrong order for me, once again, kind of like the wine person, but also I think the actions are not very good.
They're fine. Maybe if you could get it as a bonus and still use the die for an action, but to
give up one of your 4 dice?
give it one of your 4 dice to
that's rough.
upgrading a guest to a higher level guest. Not bad, right? We see that in games like Dominion and whatnot that do that type of thing. And that's, to me, is like an effective, efficient action, but it's not one of the most fun ones. But some of the other things
But that's
are
the
like
only one
draw
I
a new
wanted to take.
Yeah, because it's utilitarian.
Yeah.
Draw a new card out. Does it matter at this point? We've already kind of set out the cards and we're in the midst of the dice drafting and stuff. Like, I think that's a weird one timing wise. I think, like you said, the biggest issue I have with this is timing.
Sure.
You have to choose where you're going to put that noble before you draft the dice. And then some of those things activate in an order where you're like, okay, that's fine, I guess, but it's not like exciting.
Yeah. So I wish that there were better actions, especially because I'm banky, or I don't know, I'm gambling on whether or not it's going to happen. But also just because it takes a die. Like, make it stronger. Make it stronger, make it better.
Last module is the objectives, right? The scroll in the middle of the table. If you do the thing on the left, you get the thing on the right, and you can choose one to do that. This one's good. I think this is probably my favorite module in the box.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
I mean, I think this one definitely did what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
For me, this one and the player powers, they're both completely good and fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think the player powers are okay. This one's good. You get something to work towards, and you get a small reward for it, and you get points whether you spend that reward or not. I think that does all the things that like a competent little module like this should do, and I think that it'll reward you for kind of going out of your way, stretching just a little bit to do that thing. Or you can say, man, not worth it. I have a really good thing going, and I can ignore it.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly. And so I think that's a good balance.
I really like the control that you have with it. So you unlock a one-time special ability, and you can use that special ability whenever it is relevant. And like with so many other things in this expansion, the timing is off. But with this particular module, the timing is correct.
Because the timing's in your control.
Because it's up to you when you need it. And so I appreciate that.
So overall, this is the hard thing about rating this expansion, right? Because I think the base game is okay. Not actually that many people here in the office were excited to say, oh, yay, a Taverns of Tiefenthal expansion. And so we're the ones that played it because, we might actually have the highest estimation of the base game.
I thought the base game was perfectly fine. It was perfectly adequate. I don't think it was amazing. It wasn't astounding, but it was perfectly adequate.
So how do you rate an expansion then that I think is also, as you say, like adequate, right? If everything that you heard here says, hey, I want to buy that because I like the sound of all these modules, perfect. For you, this is a buy.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm going to rate this expansion a 6. Because I think it's competent. I think it's all right. If you really like the base game, you'll have some fun mixing and matching the modules, and it'll give you just some more variety. But I just can't really rate it that much higher than it because so many of the modules were a miss for me, and to only have a few of them that I thought, hey, this is great. I like what it adds. That's a 6, right? Reviewing it as an expansion for a game that you might love, you would probably give it a higher score. But that's where I'm at.
I think I basically completely agree with you. I'm also going to give it a 6 for the very same reasons. I feel like when half the modules hit and they're hit mostly, but they're not amazing, and the other half completely fail, like I don't feel like it adds that much to this game. But if you're looking for an expansion that adds variety, it points you in a different direction, and it adds more lucky stuff to it, if you're down and into that level of luck and lack of control, it all sounds really negative, I realize. But if you enjoy that aspect of this game and it's going to give you more of that, then I think that's great. But I'm also going to give it a 6.
Yeah, and ultimately our scores are more relevant for us than for you.
Sure.
And so you decide based on what you saw if you like it or not. So that's the Taverns of Tiefenthal first expansion, Open Doors. That's a lot of words.
With an exclamation point.
Open Doors, exclamation point.
I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi.
Thanks for joining us here at the Dice Tower.